Okay, hey everybody, welcome to another episode of On the Wrist from Off the Cuff. Today we have another cool update for you from Haveston. Now, of course, Haveston is a UK-based brand out of London. They were established back in 2015, and essentially they provide high-end NATO-style strap options that are designed with both functionality and ergonomics in mind. And for this particular video, we're actually focusing on two of their newest releases, where they've actually probably gone the farthest away from that very core ethos of just the simple NATO strap. Especially considering their designs have been more pattern based, and I think that's kind of one of their key features. Here you're seeing them really reach out and really start playing with some design and show you what they can do with different materials and whatnot. So it's pretty exciting stuff. So really what we're going to be looking at is their new space inspired release, as well as their new leather lines. Now the IVA would be representative of the space inspired one, and then the Squadron set would be the new leather line. So essentially still same great Haveston value, where you can essentially either buy these straps for $28.55 each, or you can get a set of two for $51.55. So it would save you $5.55 to just go ahead and buy this set. And I have to say that I think these are definitely worth it. There are probably some little finagles here and there that I might change, so definitely stay tuned for that. But I gotta say, all in all, these are, again, just wonderful stepping stones, I guess you could say, for Haveston as a brand, really showing you guys what they can do and where their head's at, and I'm really excited to see whatever they come out with next. I know they do actually have a couple of updates of previous releases that I'm really looking forward to, which actually should be shooting another video as soon as those come into the mail. So really excited to share that with you guys. But for now, we'll be definitely covering the IVA set as well as the Squadron set. So let's go ahead and take a closer look. All right, let's go ahead and first start out with the IVA set. Now, this is, of course, the beta white model, which is very cool. I think the name might be reminiscent of Betty White. No, it's actually based on the monotone color scheme found in vintage Apollo space suits, basically, in the rocket markings. So, but I do, I think it might have been subconscious then. Beta White, Betty White. More classic Easter eggs from Haveston. But essentially this is this really cool kind of hook and loop style strap. It has this great kind of branding on it, where essentially it's kind of a callback to those lunar missions, but also kind of gives it that military and also very experimental kind of vibe to it, which I think is really great. You can see here new use of materials, because we do have these kind of rubber silicone keepers, and then we have, of course, the use of what's the word I'm looking for, guys? Velcro, that's what. So the use of Velcro there, which is really nice. So before I show you it on the watch, I just wanted to show you guys some of the details here up close. We do have this blasted finish, very nicely done. As you can see close up there, the stitching is absolutely excellent, just like you'd expect. And a nice little touch here on these keepers is that they actually do have some very nice texturing to them there. So smooth on one side, textured on the other. So really cool from that aspect. So let's actually now take a look here at the Squadron based line, which is essentially kind of the classic Haveston or Haveston. I really should figure out what's the preferred way. I don't think either way would be considered wrong, because they're close enough. But essentially this is going to be their classic strap that they, very similar to what they first released in their first iterations of the nylon straps, except it's actually in leather. So actually it's a little bit different because it's single pass. So there's that. So, but the hardware wise and whatnot is a little bit more similar, because you're gonna see on some of their newer releases where they're gonna have kind of a fully milled buckle there. This one still has that kind of just that form bent piece there, versus the fully milled you'll find on their newer lines. And I don't know, that could be something that is going to be eventually added here, or it might just be something that with the shape of the holes, you know, we would have to confirm. But honestly, they're always looking to refine and improve. So one of the nice things here that's very unique is you can see that it does have the nice branding there. Really great underneath, as you can see here, the details, great textures, definitely very nice. And you can see down into the grains of this leather when I stretch it a bit. You can just tell that this is gonna just break in so nice, and really you know, kind of age and patina in its own way. Even when you just bend it there, you see it just bright light up. Really great. So with that said, let's go ahead and actually take a look on the strap here. I have, of course, my first gen DS30. I say first gen because they recently updated these to actually be 200 meters water resistant. Mine is the original release, which is only 100 meters water resistant. Still perfectly good considering that this is a pilot's watch. I do have, you know, just also so you guys know, these aren't just for moon watches. I mean, obviously, if I had a Speedmaster that to put this on, it'd be great. I actually do have my Belova moon watch, but unfortunately, it's the braceleted model, so it doesn't have enough clearance to actually take any straps. So I figured, hey, why not get something else that has a similar blasted finish there, and then of course is still in keeping with this kind of more military and kind of high speed low drag theme there. And of course the Damasco DS30 is an extremely capable tool watch. This thing has it all. You know, if you wrote down the specs of this watch on paper, you'd probably imagine a very tool-tastic watch that is just ready for pretty much anything. And this type of strap is just so robust, and really just overbuilt, which is really nice, and can kind of give you that vibe of exactly what it's meant to make you feel when you wear it. It definitely just feels really special and you know, just kind of bleeding edge. Although of course this is a vintage throwback, you know, during that time, during the space race and everything, it was bleeding edge technology. So really nice from that point of view. I'll actually probably reserve throwing it on the wrist until we actually review the other model as well, and then just kind of do all the wristy stuff and with my closing thoughts. So as you can see here, we have this on my Longines COSD military watch, you know, heritage military. So really beautifully done on this particular one. Also, this is the Lunar Grey model here that I first pulled up, and this model here is the russet brown. So it's gonna be a little bit brighter, of course, as you can see, but still have that great kind of life underneath the leather, just waiting to come out and be worn in. And as you can see on here, it just suits the watch so nicely. And you know, although it's leather and it's meant to dress things up a bit, it still has that military vibe, which is really great, especially with these tones. I'm loving the color on here, and I think it goes great with the cream, and then of course the pops of red with that 24-hour scale. So really nicely done. Doesn't add a lot of thickness. You know, you can see there's some air there. I could pull some gap out, but once I actually have it on the wrist, you'll notice, and especially for this particular watch, of course, it's made to be worn on a NATO, so those lugs droop down really nice to help it wrap around the wrist. But just to give you an idea of kind of in hand and with the watch head on there, these things look absolutely great. We'll go ahead and start here with the Lunar Grey and get into some thoughts, closing thoughts. I don't know, I guess you could call them that. So of course I'm gonna just go ahead and reach around here on camera. Might be a little more awkward than you'll be in the comfort of your own home without a tripod in between you and your wrist. And essentially there's actually one of these are considered an extra keeper, but you know what, I feel like if they're gonna give you one, why not use it? It's probably more so security purposes if you get in a real big spill and this thing gets ripped off your wrist. But you know what? I don't think that's going to happen. The nice thing about these straps is that they're actually really also very suitable for diving. So because of that very secure design, very simplistic. Of course, there's nothing stopping this from not only, you know, being great for your moon trips, but also for your undersea adventures. As you can see, this thing looks absolutely gorgeous on the wrist. Infinitely comfortable. I mean, this is something that you could really take anywhere. So rugged, so just dialed in. You know, of course, it's a little thicker and whatnot, and the way it's going to breathe is going to be a bit different than your standard NATO, but this thing just gives the vibe of, you know, this is heavy duty, definitely military grade feel to it, which I'm really enjoying. And I actually do really like the look with both keepers here. I think it actually adds a nice dimension when you have it on wrist. And as you can see, it just wears so beautifully. And the way it's going to ride on the wrist, you can see it's still quite flexible, although it's thicker because there's, you know, honestly, there's more material there. It's thicker. There's two pieces of material. It's the Velcro and then also the nylon, and the nylon is actually quite thick. But this thing gives me nice range of motion, and of course, because it's Velcro, it's infinitely, you know, adjustable. You could have it, you know, there, and you can click it back, you know, as far or as close as you want. So that's another really nice feature of Velcro. Of course, if you're going to be in some type of, you know, quiet place situation where you can't make any noise, maybe you're not going to want Velcro for sound discipline purposes. But as far as it just being on the wrist and being ultra secure, that's where it's at. And then because it still, of course, has the great, you know, the carryover of the functionality of really any NATO strap, the whole purpose is that if your spring bar fails, it's still a band around your wrist, and the other spring bar is holding that onto your watch. When you have a two-piece strap, or a single piece strap that's threaded through like a two-piece, essentially, if one of these spring bars fail, what ends up happening is the watch falls apart because essentially it's not a band anymore. It's just an open loop, so it's gonna fall off. So really nice. Oh man, I'm really digging this. So definitely keep an eye out on Instagram because I'm loving the way this thing wears, feels, looks, everything about it, especially in this gray color. I think the white, the beta white, or the Betty white, as I will now affectionately call it, is actually a really cool look. Probably go great with something like a blue dial to really pop. It has more of a summertime vibe to it, which I think is really nice. So I think that was really cool for them to offer that versus something like a standard black. I think the white strap, obviously, I think the gray strap can cover black, especially when you're going to consider that most watch cases are going to be, you know, a steel gray color. So that's going to tie in perfectly. And then you're already going to have plenty of black, essentially, because of the Velcro. You know, this whole piece here, this whole space is going to be black, so adds nice contrast. So I'm really glad that they were creative enough to do a white model, you know, kind of stormtrooper status here. And then you also do have it with the Lunar Grey, which I think is probably a little bit more versatile. Really nice. And I'll give you guys the demo on, you know, how I'm pulling it off here. So, boom. Wham, bam. And then just fold this back down for storage purposes. And man, yeah, that's, I mean, it's a good looking piece just sitting there. So now we'll go ahead and get this piece on. Of course, the russet brown, which is going to be, you know, the lighter model, and even maybe a little bit more flexible than the seal brown, which is a bit darker. As you can see, these haven't really been broken in or anything like that, so I'm not going to cinch them down too tight. But, whoa, yeah, that is nice. That definitely, that color of leather there. Really lovely. I feel like this is the type of leather I'd see on you know, on the 555 gear channel, you know, with his reviews, which are great. This just kind of ties really into this tone is just so versatile. Really, really great. I think it looks awesome. One thing I will say that I did notice is that they do have, you know, so I don't have to flip my wrist in an awkward way. The with the branding here, it's basically going to be right where you normally put your keeper to keep this from falling out. So I think what actually might be a really cool change, maybe for future iterations, is if instead of stamping it here, which is very symmetrical there in that space, and you know, with the basically when the watch or the strap essentially is on its own, that looks really great there. I think on the wrist it'd be really cool if they put the branding right here, essentially right above these holes. I think that would be great, and then essentially, you know, the average watch would fit nicely there. This is pretty long lugs on here, so if that can still fit, you're gonna be pretty good. I think that would actually be really awesome to put that branding there instead. Just a thought. So if you guys are listening over at Haveston, I think that'd be really cool. I think, you know, it's one of those things, these two straps, nobody was crying out for these. It's not like people saw their, you know, outstanding lines and they said, hey, could you guys just do one in leather, or can you do like a moon strap? These aren't things that I think like people have been clamoring for. But I think that the execution wise, they really, you know, I would have never thought to ask them, hey, can you guys do a leather line? But man, these things are killer. So it's definitely a pleasant surprise when, you know, a company is just constantly working on executing and expanding, but still keeping it within that same theme. So really, really cool. You know, on the wrist, these things, of course, are going to keep wearing great. Still very comfortable to wear, super well thought out ergos, you know, with a single pass here, and then this is a single pass, of course, although there's going to be a little bit more material and whatnot. You know, these things are really meant to be worn and not just to be looked at. They're meant to be worn in and frayed and patinaed and just pick up some wear, you know, kind of like this watch. As you can see there's some definite, apart from my fingerprints there's also some scuffs and scratches. So it just picks up a personality, picks up a story, which I can really dig, and I think that's one of the great things about the Haveston straps is there's always a story behind these designs. You know, and they have still that rugged yet refined style to them, you know, and they definitely feel like premium products. This doesn't feel like something you can just get, you know, unbranded somewhere else for $15. There's just something more to it. And then of course you think about the packaging as well. I mean, their packaging is top notch. Their branding is also top notch as far as having a very cohesive design language that I think speaks to really to everybody that's interested in these type of straps, you know, with the military kind of background there. And of course they're finished to a high level. I mean, you look at this buckle here, even though this is not an updated little tong guy there, the you know, the buckle itself is gorgeous, you know, nicely milled. The finishing here, of course, they do have polished options. This is the brushed, which I think is just a little bit more versatile. I think maybe with the leather, it might actually be good to get some polished options, because you probably, I mean, this watch is fully polished. Because let's face it, back in the day when they were making military watches, polishing was the cheapest finish that they could make. You know, this thing would probably, if this was not a reissue, it would almost probably look stonewashed by now from just all the wear and tear on it. But really nice. And then of course the return of that blasted satin finish there versus brushed, because it, you know, obviously brushing something like this would probably be impossible, and polishing it would just look silly because it would be immediately worn down by the Velcro there, and wouldn't look good. But man, these things are killer. You know, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. You know, are you guys eager to try one of these out? I'd say, of course, there's the trade-off is going to be the thickness. Of course, the thickness of leather, the pliability of leather, the thickness of these straps, with of course the Velcro being another layer there. Those are trade-offs, you know. So they're not going to be to the same level of comfort. I would say is the wearability is not going to be the same level as those kind of classic Haveston releases that came before it, but you're going to be getting more from the style and versatility standpoint, and then also, you know, being something different in your collection, because, you know, as much as we want our watchmakers to and brands to come out with one watch that can be everything. You know, it's kind of a silly ask, and it's silly for strap makers to try to make one strap that does it all. I would much rather have the right strap for the right job, the right day. You know, the you know, the options there. So these things definitely excel in those niche fields versus being something that's just like blanket. Hey, you know, throw on this gray NATO and it's gonna go with you everywhere from formal to, you know, to the beach, business to boardroom, or, well, beaches to boardroom. You know, that's not what these are going to offer. Here you're going to be getting the right tool for the right job. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you like the video, please do it like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks, guys.